I am super excited to be here if you can't tell by my face, but I'm Dr. Tisha Shipley and I am a professor here on the early childhood team at UAGC. I'm the host for this session, bringing joy back to the classroom, empowering educators with dynamic music and movement for positive classroom transformations. So, by joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC related materials. So your microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat, and we have enabled the live transcription. So if you would like to use that, click on the Show Captions button at the bottom of your Zoom window. So now, I am pleased to introduce to you the Early Childhood Spotlight Speaker Session, Nick Young. Nick has been in education for over 30 years. He is widely known as Nick the Music Man, and he is celebrated with joyful learning. His career began in the classroom when he witnessed firsthand the profound social, emotional, and educational benefits of interactive music, inspiring him to found the Young Music Company, which now delivers high-energy music and movement classes to thousands of children across Southern California every year. So he maintains a robust digital presence. He co-hosts the Music and Storytime podcast with over 100,000 downloads worldwide and a YouTube channel boasting over 10,800 subscribers. We already know he's great. He has presented for us at the Early Childhood Conference before. I'm so glad you're here today, Nick. Nick does want this session to be very interactive. So if you have questions or comments, anything you want to talk about, put that in the chat box as he presents. But Nick, thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Shipley. Oh man, it's exciting to be here, very exciting. And yes, I would like to reaffirm that I've got my eye on the chat. So as we're going along through today, if there's anything that you have a question about, or if you have an anecdote you want to share, or an observation, or anything like that, please feel free to put it in the chat, because I feel like that kind of enriches the experience for everyone, because then I can address what you have to offer with my own experience and start a dialogue. And I love that when that happens. So don't hesitate if something comes to mind that you would like to ask about or comment on. So my name is Nick Young, and Dr. Shipley just did a great job of introducing me, so I don't need to spend a ton of time on that. But we are going to do some movement today. We're going to explore the developmental benefits of early childhood music and movement activities, and class management techniques, which I think are super, super needed and important right now. And also, how music and movement helps children to develop their social and emotional literacy and skills, and the 6 emotions that we can help children to become literate in by age 5, which is such a game changer and such an important thing for us to do. So let me make sure my phone is on Do Not Disturb. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to warm up a little bit. And so I'm inviting you to join in as much as you feel like, to whatever degree you would like to. So if you just feel like sitting down and moving, that's totally fine. If you want to get up and move, that's awesome too. I see all the cameras are off, so if you want to have your camera on and I can see you, that's totally great too, however you want to do it. But let's get started. So we're going to do this song. Now, when I start my music time with the children, my approach to early childhood music and movement education, the way I manage the group, the way I keep the children engaged, is I come in with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and I kind of capture their attention and engagement, and then I maintain that for my 30 minutes of music and movement that I present in my classes. So we're going to get more into that later, but I call it the music. Okay, so I get the children on the Music Express, and then I keep them on there I don't stop the flow of energy and enthusiasm and activities, and that's really important. So we're going to start with echoes. So that means I say it first and you say it after me. So I say shh, shh, shh. You say that. Be my echo.
Be my echo.
Everything I say, repeat after me. A, B, C.
A, B, C.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Gorillas and grapes. Apples and bananas.
Apples and bananas.
Guitars and drums.
Guitars and drums.
Shakers and cymbals.
Shakers and cymbals.
Awesome. Okay, so friends, we're going to shake our hands like this. Shake, shake. Here we go. Shake, shake, shake your hands. Shake, shake, shake your hands. Shake, shake, shake your hands. Now get up. It's time to stand up and jump. Jump, jump, jump so high. Jump, jump, jump so high. Jump, jump, jump so high. You can almost touch the sky. Jump and clap. Jump and clap. Jump and clap. Jump and clap, jump and clap, jump and clap, jump and clap. Make your feet go tap, tap, tap. Now stretch to the sky, stretch. Stretch up high, stretch. Stretch up high, stretch. Stretch up high, wiggle your fingers far and wide. Woo, good job, friends. Okay, and I'm going to switch my view to speaker view so that I can see and then I'm going to pin myself. Does that work for you guys? Because I need to be able to see my backgrounds as a part of the presentation. And so let me know if this is working, not working. Okay, so here we are, and now we're going to move into talking about, we got warmed up a little bit there. So here we go. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the science behind these developmental benefits that we see in early childhood music and movement education. So, it's something that's fun and organic and just easy. It feels like it's easy because it's just something that's so natural for children. They're so attracted to these activities. When I walk into a classroom full of children and I start saying, "Here we go, friends," they are right on it. They are into it. It is like a no-brainer for them. They just get it. And I think because it is so natural and organic in that way, we might overlook the incredibly powerful developmental benefits that are offered as a part of these activities. So one of them is for self-regulation. So the children in my groups, I'm working with anywhere from 6 to 25 children in a music group. I'm in the group space with the children, and we're all moving together, we're dancing, we're singing, my approach is to minimize the amount of micromanaging that I have to do. So I'm not going to be constantly saying, "Oh, you're not doing that right," or "Stand over here," or "Don't do that." I want to just have them be caught up in the flow and carried along by the energy of the group all together. And in that way, all those class management things tend to just fall by the wayside, and we're able to just keep them engaged. And then I also have some techniques like the invisible bubble. I say, put on your invisible bubble around your body. That means your body will not bump your friends. Make sure you move where there's room to go without bumping your friends. And I say that at the beginning of some specific activities where they're going to be moving around together. And that way I can always call back to the invisible bubble and say, "Don't forget your invisible bubble." If I notice a child is like climbing on top of their friend or something, I'll say, we're going to keep our body moving in our own space. Make sure your invisible bubble's around you. And so that's my kind of first line of a little bit of class management. And then they're learning that impulse control and self-regulation because they want to be participating, and so they're able to practice those skills and those tools and develop those traits. And it's very great for reducing stress. We have stress as adults. We also know children experience a lot of stress. And when you have a group of kids coming in to the classroom and they're all stressed out, they need something to do with that energy, and it's going to go somewhere. So it can either go into chaotic craziness, or we can direct it into something wonderful and magical and creative. Music and movement is that thing. So, it reduces stress by lowering cortisol and increasing dopamine, not just in the children, but in the teacher also. So we all benefit in that way. So, we're going to be doing a lot of moving. I'm not going to just be talking the whole time, but I do want to get a few of these things right here. So what's amazing about music and movement activities is when the children are moving their bodies. For instance, we have a song called it's called Animals on the Move. It's one of many songs that we have where the children are moving their bodies in the group space together. And while they're moving, they are moving like different animals. So I'll say, okay, friends, we are going to move our bodies like some different kinds of animals. So put on your invisible bubble. That means your body is going to move where there's room to go without bumping your friends. And then the first animal is a spider. And if I have a really squirrely group, I might say, I'm going to be noticing your bodies moving and noticing how you're moving where there's room. If you see a friend's body right in front of you, then look around and see where there's room to go, where you can move without bumping into your friend. And of course, the children are bumping and touching each other, but that's totally fine as long as it's safe and up to a certain point. So I'll say, okay, the first one is a spider. Show me how you crawl like a spider. And I'm just imagining everyone in this workshop is getting down on the floor right now and crawling like a spider. Here we go. Spiders are creeping. Spiders are creeping. Woo! Spiders are creeping. Spiders are creeping. Creep around the circle. Stop. Now slither like a snake. Snakes that slither. Woo! Snakes that slither. Good job, friends. Snakes that slither. Snakes that slither. Slither around the circle. Stop. Now swim like a dolphin. Dolphins are swimming, jumping out of the water. Dolphins are swimming. Woo! Dolphins are swimming. Dolphins are swimming. Swim around the circle. Stop. Now fly like a bird. Birds are flying all around the sky. Birds are flying. Birds are flying. Woo! Birds are flying. Fly around the circle. Stop. Now walk like an elephant. Elephants walking. Woo! Elephants walking. Good job, friends. Elephants walking. Elephants walking. Walk around the circle. Stop. Woo! Amazing. Look at the ECE team of teachers. You guys are awesome. Of course, I mean, we like to have fun. We work with young kids. That's what it's all about. That's why we got into this. Okay, so I just wanted to demonstrate that because I wanted to talk about how amazing this is. Imagine a child with all their friends crawling like a spider, slithering like a snake, flying like a bird, swimming like a dolphin. What is happening inside their brain and in their body while they're participating in that activity? And this is a joyful, organic, fun thing that they just cannot get enough of. I mean, the children absolutely love it. So multiple brain regions are engaged simultaneously. Robust and redundant neural pathways, so makes learning more durable, recall more efficient. The corpus callosum, which is the nerves and the fibers that join the left and right hemispheres of the brain, is strengthened and it increases gray matter. And I'm in a school, so you hear a bell right there. The motor cortex, so movement, cognition, enhanced memory, attention, awareness, all those things are being developed in their brain. I mean, these are like neural pathways being formed. And the neurological force multiplier, it's like all these things are happening at once. Processing auditory information, linguistic information, motor planning, proprioceptive, kinetic feedback, body awareness, so spatial awareness. I mean, this stuff, it is magical. This magical things are happening inside of these children's brains, and they're just having fun. So it's a win-win, believe me. So we want to take advantage of that neurological force multiplier. And one of the things that we focus on in early childhood education is school readiness. And you know, back in the old days, when we all started out, school readiness was like they could, you know, say their ABCs, they could count to 10, they knew their shapes, they knew their colors. All that stuff is great, but what we think about when we think about school readiness now, the modern definition of school readiness is much more complex than that. It's a complex interplay of physical, social, emotional, and cognitive competencies. What is school readiness? That means that these preschool children are ready to move on to kindergarten. They have all the tools. Their development has happened in a way where they're ready. They're ready to start kindergarten. They're ready to move on and have a really successful career in education. Not only that, but in their entire lifetime. I mean, what's happening right now for these children in early childhood is it's like it reverberates throughout their entire lives. Of course, I mean, we all get that. Things that happen in early childhood are very impactful. And, you know, if children get the right developmental opportunities in early childhood, it's going to have a profound impact on their success as human beings throughout the rest of their lives. And it really has an effect on you know, their relationships and their success in academics and in their career and all those things. So a child's willing attitude, confidence, and curiosity towards learning, that's something that we want to help these children to develop. And a multidimensional state of physical, cognitive, social, and emotional development are all essential ingredients. You know, that's according to the U.S. Department of Education and Head Start. So, yeah, doesn't this make sense? We want to give these children an opportunity to develop these traits and abilities. And that's exactly what we do with a really intentional and robust early childhood music program. And we get this into their lives on a daily basis. So in our workshop today, our learning outcomes, I want you to be able to get inspired with high energy interactive music and movement activities. I want to stimulate engagement with music and movement activities with your students. I want you to acquire tools and techniques for effective class management. We're going to get into class management because that's a vital part of this whole equation. And learn skills that we can use to promote social emotional literacy and development. And I'm going to showcase music for transitions, because we know transitions are super important as well for the early childhood classroom. Okay, so kind of moving on from that, we're going to talk about more developmental stuff. But before we do, I think we need to do a little more moving and dancing. So let's get into this song. In fact, I'm going to do this song. This is my good food song. So here's an example of a song that's fun and interactive, but we're using the opportunity to also layer on another layer of learning for the children. So here we are talking about nutrition, and then we'll go into exercise. So, you know, the children are getting all these developmental benefits because they're just moving, they're interacting, and having that experience. But on top of that, why don't we also get excited about healthy food and how that affects our body and how it can make us grow strong bones and muscles and those things. So we're going to sing the good food song. When I do this with my students, we'll generally be sitting down around the circle. I'm sitting in the circle with them. They're sitting around the edge of the group space, facing towards the middle. And I'll say, okay, friends, I'm going to say good food. And then you say good food after me. Here we go. Good food. Feels like magic in your tummy. Good food.
Good food.
You know it tastes yummy. Good food.
Good food.
Feel your body growing. Now that this food has got your energy flowing. When you feel hungry, you want something that's good. If you want a happy tummy, then eat some good food. Take a big bite of what your body needs. You're growing big and strong. You've got muscles to feed. Good food.
Good food.
Feels like magic in your tummy. Good food.
Good
You
food.
know it tastes yummy. Good food.
Good food.
Feel your body growing. Now that this food has got your energy flowing. Good food. Awesome. I like the singing. And you know what? I do that. Then I'll say, okay, friends, I'll go around the group and I'll ask each child, tell me one kind of food that's so delicious and yummy that you like to eat that makes your body strong. And they'll tell me all the different kinds of food that they like to eat. And sometimes they'll choose some of these, or they'll have their own amazing ideas. And mac and cheese comes up a lot, that's for sure. Chicken nuggets too. But we get to the end of all that, and then we say, okay, eat up your food, your apples, your carrots, your potatoes, your bananas. And I'll say, show me your muscles, friends. Oh my goodness, I think you're turning into super kids. And then we sing the super kid song. And I say, okay, friends, everyone say super, super, super kid. Super, super, super kid. Super, super, super kid. Super, super, super kid. Super, super. sky. She can fly across the sky. She's much stronger than I. He can fly across the sea. He can jump higher than me. She's a hero. She can save a plane. It's just fine. He's a hero. Stop the bad guys every time. Super, super, super kid. Super, super, super kid. Super, super, super kid. Super kid. And then I'll say, okay, friends, show me your super jumping powers. Come on, friends, jump like super kid. Come on, friends, jump like super kid. I know that's what we're gonna do. Jumping high like super kid can do. Come on, friends, jump like super kid. And then we do super push-ups, walk on our elbows, and we do jumping jacks, and then we do all those fun things for the super kid song. So you can see the children are inspired. They're working together. They're cooperating in the group space together. They're able to control and regulate their movements in a way that allows them to participate together in a way that's safe for them and their peers, but also fun and exciting and cooperative. And we have that neurological force multiplier happening. They're developing their spatial awareness, their impulse control, their cognitive skills, their gross and fine motor skills, all those things that are just so important. But it's all happening in a totally organic and amazing way. Now, I want to invite again, and thank you, Dr. Johnson, for putting the handout. There's a handout I have in the chat there. It's a PDF with information and also some links to some of my YouTube videos that you can actually use with your students in the classroom. So if you get a chance to download that and take that with you, there'll be some resources there. Okay, so the thing about music and movement, it is very interactive. So the children they're moving their bodies. They're getting this physical development boost. They're getting exercise. They're really moving a lot. That's one of the things I think that a lot of teachers will hesitate about, because they'll say, I've got to keep my students locked down. If I invite them to start jumping, doing jumping jacks and push-ups and crawling like a spider and flying like a bird, it's just going to be mayhem and chaos and bedlam in my classroom, and the kids are going to just be out of control, and it's going to be chaos, and they'll feel like they kind of they're in danger of losing control of their students. And I think there is validity to that worry, because if your students are still gaining social skills, and once they kind of get wound up, you might feel like it'll be really hard to kind of bring them back under control. But I want to kind of just have us contemplate, that's a pretty sad state of affairs. If you're like, well, I can't let my students move around and have fun, then what's the alternative to that? Everyone sit still and quiet? We know children aren't going to do well. It's like you put the lid on a simmering pot, it's going to boil over. We want to give them outlets for that energy. It's like I said earlier, it's going to come out one way or another. And you might find yourself in the classroom being, a tyrant and a dictator, when that's not what you got into this field of education to do. It's not to try to keep children from expressing themselves. Now, I'm not throwing shade on anybody. Being a preschool teacher is one of the most challenging things in the world. And we all know that children, their behavior, the challenges that children are having right now are profound. And I think being a preschool teacher has gotten more challenging over the last 5 years or so. So we need tools, we need techniques. So we have the social emotional learning that happens as a part of these activities. But we also need class management techniques. We really need that. The children are learning language. This is like music and movement is a huge super powerful language learning tool that it just happens naturally. They're learning language just because they're speaking, they're hearing you speak, they're doing that. But when they're singing and they're moving and they are participating in a physical, visceral way with the subject matter, like if you're crawling like a spider, you're thinking about the idea of a spider, the word spider, you're moving your body like a spider, you're getting that neurological force multiplier. It's a language powerhouse of learning. And then cognitive growth. Many scientific studies have shown that children that are involved in music education, it really helps their cognitive growth. Pattern sequences, problem solving, all those things are happening in the context of a really fun, intentional music and movement program. Multilingual, children that are learning a second language. I'm teaching in Orange County right now a ton of classes for some of the schools in the school districts down here. And so I'm working with a lot of children that are mainly Spanish speakers, some exclusively Spanish speakers. And so I have some of my material, I do have some Spanish in the material, but the children are learning another language, they're learning English. Or if they're already English speakers, they're starting to learn Spanish too. So it's a really wonderful tool and a powerful tool for children who are learning another language. And we're going to eventually get to class management. That's number 4. But right now, we started out with imaginative and directed movement. These are the 4 elements of my approach to early childhood music education. So when we did the song about tapping your foot, wiggling your shoulders, clapping your hands, and all that, that is a directed movement song, directed movement. We also did an imaginative movement song. We did Animals on the Move. So this is where the children are crawling like a spider, slithering like a snake, flying like a bird. I'm not telling them how to move their body. I'm just giving them an idea, and they get to interpret it, and they all kind of do it in their own unique, creative way. So there's that very special aspect of it. And then we're moving on to number 3, the third pillar of early childhood music and movement, musical story, actually number 2, rhythms and instruments. So rhythm sounds and instruments, and then we'll get into musical storytelling. So let's get into instruments. Yes, indeed. Okay, so here are the instruments I like to use in my music and movement classes. I like to use shakers. These fruit shakers are really fun. They look like fruit, but they are shakers. I have one of them right here. It's an orange shaker, and the children get a kick out of that. The drums that I use, it looks like that. You can't really see it because of the green screen thing. But it looks like that, and it's a drum. It's when you choose a drum for your music class, you want to choose something that's going to be durable and safe to use. So lightweight, but also durable. I have bought so many drums that I think were intended to be used by children, but they're just not durable, and the children will break the head of the drum if they can. I was just teaching a class with this drum, and the child that was using it was all on top of it, pushing on it, rolling it around, bouncing it around. And I don't encourage them to be rough with the instruments, but they're going to get used heavily. So you want to get something that's going to be a lasting instrument. These things hold up really well. I love these scraper instruments. They scrape it with a stick, and it can make a sound like a frog, but it's a scraper, and those are really nice to have. Egg shakers are kind of like the go-to. They're easy. They're easy to hold and handle, especially by small hands. They're fairly safe to use, and they're not super heavy, so even if they get tossed around and they bump into somebody, it's not that big of a deal. So, if you're looking for one go-to, that's a really good one. Bells, just make sure that the bells are very sturdily attached to the instrument, because it could be a choking hazard if they pop off, because the children will be biting on them. So make sure that those are just very secure on there. Where do you purchase your selections? Well, I got to say, I use Amazon. In the handout, I believe it has the instruments in the handout. So you'll be able to see those in there. I think I might even have put in like the SKU numbers in there. So I just go on Amazon and order them, and a couple days later, there they are. That's kind of my go-to. It's just real easy. So yeah, great question. Triangle. Okay, I want to share something about a triangle really quick. The triangles are a great instrument, and they have a handle. Now the thing about a triangle is some triangles will have a handle that's just like a loop that goes over the end of, because it's like there's an opening right there, they'll put a loop, and then you can hold it, but if you pull it off, the handle comes off. Thing is, handle will get lost really quick, really, really easily. You'll just have a metal triangle, and that's kind of a sad thing. If it doesn't have a handle, it doesn't work very well. Child's holding it like this and tapping it, and it just doesn't sound like a triangle like this. So I recommend that with a triangle. Make sure the handle is attached to the triangle. Okay, so let's move on to instrument time. If you don't have instruments, I always say, like if I'm teaching on Zoom or something and there's multiple classrooms joining me, some of those classrooms just may not have any instruments in the classroom. I'll say you can clap your hands. That works just as well. So right now, let's do a little bit of this song that is a good intro to instrument time. We pass out the instruments. When I pass them out, I just say, you can use them as soon as you have it in your hand. You can make sounds. I don't tell the children to hold it silently. I think that's kind of a dumb idea. You know, why not just let the children enjoy them right off the bat? And it's one less time you have to say no to a child. They hear the word no like 1,000 times a day. I agree, Dr. Carpenter. That is torture. Okay, so they've got their instruments. Here we go. Let me hear the music as we play our instruments. Let me hear the music as we play our instruments. Let me hear the music as we play our instruments. We play and then we stop. Shaker. Let me hear the music as we play the shaker. Let me hear the music as we play the shaker. Let me hear the music as we play the shaker. We play and then we stop. Then we go through all the instruments, and then I say, oh, everybody play together. Everybody play. Everybody play together. We play and then we stop. 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 We play and we stop. We play and we play a whole bunch more. Yahoo! And the children it's a laugh riot. They are cracking up with that play and then stop thing. They just love it. Okay, so then we have our rhythm sounds. So these are the rhythm sounds. We call this one ta, ti, diggy diggy, and toe. And I actually have these, when I'm teaching in the classroom, I have my rhythm sound cards. Can't really, I'm going to turn off real quick so I can show you. Okay, so here's my rhythm sound cards. I got ti, diggy diggy, ta, and toe. And I've got 3 of each of the cards. And I'll say, okay, friends, we're going to start out with ta. And I'll say, how many dots does ta have? And we'll count 1 dot. And I'll say, that means you make 1 sound with your instrument like this. Ta. And we'll say, okay, let's play a whole bunch of tas in a row. Here we go. Ta, 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 ta. Ta, and stop. Good job. And then we'll say, okay, now time for TT. And we'll count the dots. 1, 2. And we'll say T, 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 and stop. Then we put them together, and I'll put these down on the rug, and we'll say T, T, ta, T, T, ta. T, T, ta, T, T, ta. And then we'll say, now we're going to add more sounds. So we're going to add another ta, another T, T, and we're saying T, 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 ta, ta, T, 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 ta, ta. So the children are learning pattern recognition. It's a great pre-literacy skill that they learn with the rhythm sounds. And you can get into all kinds of different, I'll do rhythm echoes where I'll say, okay, I go first, you go after me. Ta, ta, ta. Now you. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ti, ti, ta.
Ta, ti, ti, ta.
Good job. Ti, ti, ta, ta.
Ti, ti, ta, ta.
Ta, ta, ti, ti.
Ta, ta, ti, ti.
Awesome. That was perfect. So you can do those kinds of activities with the students with the rhythm sounds. And then we are moving on to the next pillar where we still use our instruments, but we're moving into musical storytelling. Okay, so we have a story and we want to tell a story with our students. They all have their instruments. And we're going to use the instruments to help tell the story. They're going to use the instruments to make sound effects for the story. This is the story of the bird and the frog and the crocodile. So in this one, I'll have a whistle, and I'll say, this is my bird. And I have a scraper for the frog. Zoop. That makes the frog sound. And then I'll say, the shakers and the bells and the triangles are the splashing water, and we'll practice splashing water sound. And then I'll say, the drums are the elephants running in the jungle. Drums. So then we tell the story. I say the bird. Once upon a time, there was a bird and a frog. I'll say the bird, the frog, zoop, zoop. They were sitting by the river talking about what kind of bugs they ate for breakfast. They didn't know it, but in the water was a big, hungry crocodile. And he was looking for something to eat when he saw the bird and the frog, zoop, zoop. And the crocodile said, I'm gonna have them for my lunch. So he swam closer and closer till he was right next to him, and they still didn't see him. The bird didn't see him. The frog didn't see him. Zoop, zoop. The crocodile jumped out of the water, splashing water sound, shakers, bells, triangles. And he opened up his big jaws. He was just about to eat up the bird and the frog. But then the elephants went running through the jungle. Now the drums. And it was so loud, it scared the crocodile. He jumped back in the water and swam away as fast as he could go. All the instruments, shakers, bells, triangles, drums, everything. And then the bird and the frog zoop, 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 were safe and sound. And that's the end of the story. Good job. All right, perfect. Okay, and I love the comments. Thank you so much. And please don't hesitate if you have any questions to post questions in there as well. Such an entertaining way to build active listening skills. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that point. Good idea. Okay, and then I have another story. We won't do the whole thing, but it's the grouchy monster in the forest. And I'll do this story with the instruments. And then when the children get familiar with the story, I'll have the children act out the story. So I'll have them take on different roles in the story. Like one child will be the monster, one child's the tree, one child is, like they'll have a group of friends that are the children going on the adventure. And then there's the baker and the grocer. And they go on this adventure to the forest where the grouchy monster lives, and they have a picnic. And then it ends up where they're sharing their food with the monster, and then the monster turns into a friendly monster. So there's just so many, it's a very creative environment, the early childhood music and movement classroom. It's just such a creative place where you can be really spontaneous, and just a child will come up with an idea and you can just build on it and explore it and just be as creative as you want to. Okay, so musical story time. Now we're moving on to social and emotional literacy. So music, along with all the other amazing benefits and opportunities that we have with music and movement, we also can get into social and emotional development and literacy. So impulse control, cooperation, interpersonal skills. These are super, super important. Like we were talking about before, where we said The old concept of school readiness is you know your ABCs, you know your colors and your shapes and your numbers. Well, that is no longer the only thing that we focus on with school readiness. We really want children by age 5 they should have literacy in these 6 emotions: happy, sad, angry, afraid, surprised, and disgusted. So those are the 6 emotions, and we can use visual tools, visual aids, to help with this aspect, and we can use music as well. So children really respond to concrete photographs, so we like to use photos. You can use a tool like this. It could be a visual aid where you print it out, and you may have each different emotion on a different card. And I was working with one amazing educator who took the 6 cards that they made and they Velcroed them onto the back of a clipboard. And then they were able to use that. And if a child was going through a big emotion, like say they were really angry, then they could say, okay, take the clipboard. It's got all 6 emotions. They're Velcroed on there. Pull the one off that you're feeling right now. And the child could pull off the angry card, the angry photo, and have that visceral feeling of pulling that Velcro off and identifying that feeling. And it's as you can imagine, a profound tool for children to use to help, because when they're in those big feelings, they have a hard time expressing. We're like, what's going on? What's the matter? They're not really able to communicate so well verbally, but something like this is very helpful for them. And I agree, Dr. Johnson, these could be good as an adult too. Like you could go, here's my clipboard. What are you feeling right now? But we have songs that go along with these emotions. So we want the children to develop the literacy in these feelings. So that means that they can identify the feeling in themselves, they can identify it in another person, and they can start to develop empathy and understanding of these feelings. So we'll have a song like this one where we're using our facial expression to express the feelings in the song. Feeling faces, show me how your face looks when you feel happy. Feeling faces, show me how your face looks when you feel sad. Feeling faces, show me how your face looks when you feel angry. Feeling faces, show me how your face looks when you feel afraid. Feeling faces, show me how your face looks when you feel surprised. Feeling faces, show me how your face looks when you feel disgusted. Feeling faces, show me how your face looks when you feel happy. Awesome, because I think a lot of times we're trying to ask the children or get the children or coerce the children into suppressing their feelings. We know that they need to be able to manage their feelings, but we don't want to tell them it's not okay to have those feelings. We want them to be able to express them in a way that is constructive and where it helps to resolve what is happening, because they're having this big emotion. We need to give them space to express it and to feel it. And as we are working with them and helping them to learn how to self-soothe and work through those big feelings, we want to also encourage them to express those feelings. And we don't want to discourage them from letting us know how they're feeling. And then they're also developing empathy and the ability to recognize feelings in others as well. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll do the calming down song. So imagine they've pulled the emotion off of the clipboard. Maybe they pulled several of them off. It could be happy, sad, all these things, Afraid, those 3 go together a lot. And we're working with that child. We're helping that child to work through those big feelings. And then we'll get to a place where we want to do some calming down. We want to use breathing and counting to help them calm down. And we might use the calming down song. Say, take a deep breath, let it out softly. Take another breath, count to 10 slowly. 1, 2, I still feel angry. 3, 4, I'm still a little cranky. 5, 6, my body is calming. 7, 8, now I am relaxing. 9, 10, I feel better finally. Sometimes I just need to take a break. Sometimes I just need to stop what I'm doing. Sometimes I just need a hug to show me everything's okay. And let my upset feelings go away. Oh, and Allison says, I need this calming down song for myself. We all need it sometimes. Absolutely. Yeah, so don't forget to get the handout because that's going to give you a link to my YouTube and some other things. And that way you'll be able to access a whole bunch of free online resources. Okay, so I want to get to class management as we're coming into the home stretch here. We've talked a little bit about it. We talked about the invisible bubble. So what I do run into, and thank you, Dr. Johnson, for posting the handout there for people to download. So, tools for specific class management challenges. This is one I really want to invite you, if you're an educator and you have some specific challenges that you're experiencing with your students in the area of class management, this is a great time to post it in the chat, and I could maybe help walk you through with some of my experience in how I address those types of challenges. So what we have is we want to get into this whole technique. The invisible bubble is a great start. So I'll say, if I know the children are going to be moving around together, I'll say, let's put on our invisible bubble around our whole body. That means our body will not bump into our friends. Please make sure you move where there's room to go without bumping your friends. And then we'll do a song where the children are moving together. And that could be something, maybe you have a child who's they like to kind of bump into their friends, maybe kind of too rough, and they're doing a lot of bumping in the classroom. You might say, hey, let's put our invisible bubble around our body. And then if they're bumping, you could say, oh, I think you might have popped your bubble. Let's put our bubble on. Make sure you keep your bubble around you, and that way you're going to move where there's room to go without bumping. And you can use that as a tool for some specific children who might have an issue with that. Okay, managing challenging behaviors with music and visual support. So transitions are often difficult for children. And so we want to have, you can use music to transition through different activities, different locations throughout the day in a preschool classroom. So the children, if they're outside and you want them to come inside and you use the same song every day for that transition, they're going to learn that song and they're going to know that's the song. When they hear that song, it's time to go inside. And it's a cue for them that they will learn. And that's going to make that transition, instead of having to, run around like you're trying to herd a whole bunch of cats, you'll just get this nice orderly transition happening. And the song I like to use for moving from one place to another, like outside to inside, inside to outside, is this train song. So we do a song where they're all lined up, they put their hands on the shoulders of the friend in front of them, and then they move, and you could be the leader of the train. Riding on a train, going so fast, riding on a train. The whistle blows, woo, woo, the whistle blows, woo, woo, the whistle blows, woo, woo, riding on a train. And they're just riding on a train, going down there, and then they kind of move, and hopefully, eventually they get really used to it, and they will just be like, oh, time to go inside. I hear the train song. And you can do the same thing for washing hands, any other part of your day that you need to help transition the friends. Transitions can be really tricky for children. That's one time when they kind of will start to get, they'll get a little agitated sometimes. It can be triggering for them. So the more consistency that they have, and the more that if they hear an auditory cue, that really does help a lot with class management. So I talked a little bit about the Music Express. I want the children to get on board the Music Express with me. And the way I do that is I'm presenting really fun, engaging activities. And I'm doing it with a lot of enthusiasm and energy and they can tell by the way I'm speaking and singing and moving and my facial expression, I'm super, super into this and super engaged, and that is going to help them to be engaged with it as well. Once they're on the Music Express, I don't want to stop the Music Express, because once I stop it, they start to get off. So I'm keeping my Music Express going. I've transitioned from one activity to the next without pauses in between. I keep the energy and the flow going, and that's how I keep my students engaged. And I choose really, really good engaging material. Most of the stuff that I use are things that I've written and developed myself over 30 years of working in the classroom with children. So it's all tried and tested, and might hear some children passing by outside right now. But it's stuff that's super engaging, and it just works really well. So you want to select high quality material. And then I do something called adjusting the chemistry of the group. So imagine all my students are around the perimeter of the group space, and we're all tapping our foot. Tap one foot, make it bounce up and down. Woohoo! And then I've got two children who are next to each other in the circle, and those two children are buddies, and they like to wrestle and stuff on the playground. And right now they're starting to elbow on each other and bump on each other. I'll just say, hey Susie, I've got a special spot for you right over here. And I'll make it like this amazing, really fun thing where Susie has a special spot over here that just happens to be away from her friend Johnny that she likes to wrestle with. And without even stopping the song or activity, I have just moved them over, I've adjusted the chemistry of the group, and all of a sudden things are moving smoothly, and it's like a miracle. I love that. Okay, challenging classroom behavior. So I have noticed in my teaching, for I think a lot of reasons, that children are struggling with a lot of really challenging classroom behavior, and it's causing the job of the educators to be a lot more challenging. And we are having, really big, significant, real problems with burnout, and schools are having a hard time recruiting teachers and keeping staff. And so this is a very real issue that we need to address. I believe that music and movement is an antidote to this problem. Now, it's not a silver bullet. It's not a magic thing that's just going to solve every challenging classroom behavior, but it's a very good start on the road to creating a better environment in the classroom. And what I do is I give choices. So I'll say, I notice your body's not ready for music today. If I have a child who's, we're all moving to the song, but one child is just choosing kind of to roll on the floor or bump into their friends or something like that, that's really disruptive and possibly not safe. I wait until I really need to address it, because a lot of times my Music Express is just going to sweep them up and they're just going to keep moving, or I'll switch to a different activity that's going to be more engaging for them. And in that way, I don't have to micromanage that one child and single them out, embarrass them in front of their friends, stop the Music Express, all those things I want to avoid. But sometimes I do need to address it, and I'll just say, I'm noticing your body's not ready for music today. Are you able to make your body ready for music? And that's sort of the first step. And then if I see there hasn't been a change, I'll say, I notice your body's bumping into your friends. You may have to take a break until you're ready to come back. And I start giving those graduated steps of choices, so it's always their choice. They can come right back in as soon as they feel like they're ready. And a lot of times, that's it. That's all that needed to happen. Sometimes not. Sometimes that child is going to need additional choices and steps. And then again, I will also, if I have a certain child in a certain class that I'm seeing every week, I might have a meeting with that child before I even start the class. Like I'll just say, this takes like 4 seconds. I just go, Susie, I know you're going to have the best time in music today. We're going to play the instruments. We're going to have so much fun. If I notice your body's not ready for music, I might have to ask you to take a break from music time. And I'll just plant that in there. And that way, if I have to refer back to it during the music group, it's already in her mind and I can refer to it. And it kind of makes it that much more powerful. So I see that we're coming up on the end of our session today. And so what I want to do is I would like to do just another song to kind of take us out. I want to thank you guys so much for the time that we've spent together today. This has been really fun. I hope you did get the handout, and please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available to chat about music and movement and all those things. So I'll look forward to hearing from you. And then let's go out with a song. I think we'll do this one about tapping our foot on the floor. We're going to tap our feet and like some bunny rabbits. Here we go. Tap, 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 tap your toes. Side to side is how it goes. Tap your toes all in a row. Tap, 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 tap your toes. Now jump and clap, clap your hands. Jump up high, clap your hands. Jump and clap your hands. Jump and clap your hands. Touch the sky, touch the ground. Turn and turn around. Touch the sky, touch the ground. Turn and turn around. Now stretch, 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 stretch up high. See if you can touch the sky. Take a breath, give a sigh. Stretch, 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 stretch up high. Woohoo! Good job. All right, well, I think that's my time. Thank you so much to everyone for being here.
Yes, Nick, I just want to invite anybody to come off mute, ask questions, type in the chat box. I have one question. Tell us about your podcast.
Oh, okay. It's called the Preschool Music and Storytime Podcast. And it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, anywhere where there's podcasts. And it's a podcast that I started creating during lockdown time with my wife, Jen, who's also an educator and a dance movement educator for children. And it is really fun. It's Jen and I doing a lot of my music modules. So it's us kind of going through different music and stories. We do a pirate treasure hunt adventure. And so it's just a really engaging, fun way to access the music. And then you can also find me on YouTube. All that stuff is in my handout. And also on streaming on albums. I've got some albums on all the streaming services. If you look for Nick the Music Man, a great one to start with is Baba Jiggles. That's a really fun one. And so all that stuff is out there ready to be used in the classroom.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? You can come off mute. You can type in the chat box. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you to the audience for your participation in today's session. We are going to put a link in the chat box. Please use this to nominate your TLC presentations for conference awards and to share your feedback. And Nick, as always, that was amazing. We thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and thank you to the audience.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I hope you all have a great rest of your conference and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, take care.